Hello YouTube, it's December 3rd and I'm officially 5 weeks on testosterone. Sorry for not putting a video up for over 2 weeks. Life just gets busy with college and personal stuff. But I have noticed some changes. Things aren't as subtle anymore. You might not really be able to see it because it's not that much, but I started to get some darker hairs on my top lip. And I have some chin hairs that you can just barely see because my hair is actually really light in color. And then there's the sideburns. I have some hair down here and around here. Nothing that makes me look like a creeper that needs to shave though. Maybe in a couple more weeks. Another thing that I've noticed is that I've had some drops in my voice. My voice is deeper than when I first started. And of course, it's much easier to build up muscle now. So even though I haven't been to the gym in a week because I went on a cruise, very small activities help to just tone my muscles. And my strength has been retained. I don't lose strength as easily as I used to. And then another thing is that hair growth is really crazy. It went from my thighs that were basically bare, and then I feel like I just looked down one day and there's just a lot of hair and hair on like my knees and places where I've never had it before, and even like my hands, having it come up my wrist onto my hands and things like that. I have not noticed other things that other people have said, such as they sweat more or they have more of a libido or sexual drive, but I'm asexual, so that's not really surprising. And then other than having more confidence, I don't think I've seen any other changes. Oh, well, my face. I think I've lost some of the fat in my face and that some of the angles of my jaw are more obvious, but I don't think there's anything else besides that. But there are some things that happen that I think we don't talk about enough. And one of the things is that when you transition, sometimes you will be harassed more. And by that, I mean this example that I'm going to use. I went on a cruise on a Carnival Triumph to Cozumel, Mexico. And I understand that I don't pass 100% of the time because half the time the people on a boat were saying ma'am and then other people were saying sir. So I know it's still ambiguous. But me personally, I don't feel comfortable using the men's bathroom when I have certain feminine hygiene things going on, right? So there's not trash cans usually in their stalls, then you have to carry it out, and it's just something I don't want to go through. So on the cruise, because unexpectedly my cycle did come, I was using the women's restroom to change napkins and things like that. And what I found interesting was that the women that were in the bathroom, using the bathroom, they didn't really give me a second glance or say anything, while and ironically, it's always these Asian workers on the boat. I don't know why. It was specifically Asian women workers that gave me a hard time in the bathroom. At two different times, these Asian women who were workers that were cleaning the bathroom, you can understand in the beginning saying, oh, this is the ladies' room. That's fine. But then once someone tells you that they're in the correct bathroom, they know what bathroom that they're in, you should probably leave them alone. Especially since I didn't seem creepy. I wasn't talking to the women really. I wasn't oogling them. I hadn't walked in behind a young child. So there was no reason for these people to then continue to question me and to badger me and to try to force me out of the bathroom. It's not necessary. And as you start to pass more, but certain other things don't go away, or you still don't feel comfortable using the men's restroom, that's something that can happen that people don't really talk about. We only talk about the positives of transition. We don't also talk about how there is this in-between period where you face a little bit more harassment because you don't seem to belong in either space, men's spaces or women's spaces. And this is not something that I experience when I go to the men's bathroom. It might just be more so the culture of the men's bathroom of it's a place to do business, not to dawdle, not to figure out what everybody else is doing in there. But the most horrific part of the trip wasn't really on the cruise as much as he was on my excursion once I got to Cozumel. In Mexico, there was this female Hispanic worker who, once again, was telling me that was the women's bathroom, and my grandma was with me, and we're like, we know what bathroom it is, right? And I had never used a tampon before, so she was teaching me how to do that. And these stalls are kind of short, so my grandma's tall. She's looking over into it, talking to me, and I just don't think if someone doesn't belong in that bathroom, a person's going to look over into the stall and hold a conversation with them. It's just odd, but she continued to badger and tell me how I need to go to the men's bathroom. And it's not that I don't use the men's bathroom, I do, but I'm not going to have someone teach me how to put a tampon in the men's bathroom. That's just not about to happen. Okay, my memory card filled up and I had to switch to another one, but I'll finish the story. So, I'm not going to be taught how to use a tampon in the men's restroom. And the fact that in order to get someone to stop harassing you, you literally have to show them. The tampon that you're trying to put into yourself with some blood on it is really ridiculous. And the thoughts that I had were not really towards trans people. It made me think of people who are cis that don't, fall into these very strict categories with how they should behave because they're a man or a woman. And so I'm like, masculine women or butch women, of course they probably have the same struggle, and it's ridiculous that people are so into gender policing and bathroom policing that they think that it's appropriate to do this. It's not okay. And so we really need to do more with educating people, not just about trans people, but about the diversity of humanity in general. Just because you see a masculine looking person does not mean that you should kick them out of the women's bathroom. Just because you see a feminine looking person in the men's bathroom doesn't mean you should kick them out of the bathroom. You have no way of knowing if that person's a man or a woman or neither. You don't know. It's none of your business. As long as they're not harassing anybody or no one has complained or anything of that nature, that's when I can see you interfering and coming in. But other than that, we need to let people go to the bathroom, come out, and leave it alone. But besides that news, something good that happened recently is this. After community college, we do not have protections for transgender individuals, even though there's transgender students and there's even transgender faculty members. So what I did was I presented a resolution to our Student Government Association about a month ago, and the decision was to send everybody back to their organizations and to have a discussion with the organization about, are you for it, are you against it, and your reasons why. And we came back to our next SGA meeting, which, as I said, is a month later, which was yesterday. And what you do is you debate pros and cons, not how things are going to be done, just what do you think about it, and is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? And what I wanted to add was the verbiage of protecting people based upon gender identity and expression, adding those two categories as protected classes in our non-discrimination policy. Because at the university I attended, we have protections. There's protections at jobs like Studio Movie Grills, so I just don't see the reason why, if I can go to a university and have those protections, it's only 30 minutes away from this school, when if I can go get a job that protects me and I can pay to go to this school, that you'll take my money, but you won't even extend the same protections that I have at work. And it's just crazy. So after the debate and voting and everything, it passed. So that's really fantastic. I'm glad that happened. And this is a result of the work I did at Camp Pride over the summer. One of the things that we did was make action plans, and this was on my list of things to do. My next course of action is looking into getting preferred names on our ID cards, because I believe that would help alleviate a lot of the stress of trans people. Because, for one, you don't really use your ID card that much, and nobody uses it to really identify you. If something is going on that's serious on campus, they're not going to ask you just for your school ID. They're still going to ask you for your driver's license, or, because I live in Texas, your Texas state ID. So, that's a thing that needs to be handled. But what's interesting is that the union is also pushing to change the non-discrimination policy. So us as the students, ironically, are supporting the union inadvertently because we have passed this resolution. And so they can use that to kind of bolster their argument, so that the whole college system will have gender identity and expression within a non-discrimination policy so that trans people and other just variant people are protected underneath the policies. And also just so that, not just for protections, but just practically, you have trans students and you have to deal with them on an individual basis rather than having a method. And by a method, I just mean that I go on trips with the school where I have to spend the night. We shouldn't have to always individually go to an administrator and ask, can I stay in the male, like, sleeping quarters? Because one time they can say yes, and then another time they can say no, and in my opinion, that's fucked up. You know, because for someone that just because it has F on their record, they might look very masculine, and the women aren't going to feel comfortable around someone that looks like a man being in their cabin. And then also it puts you in danger because as a trans person, not everybody knows that you're trans. So for you to put a trans man in with women, all of a sudden people who never question your gender identity are, and it can be a catastrophe, it can be a mess. So I'm hoping that the administration will take this seriously and that they will vote to add this as a protected class in our non-discrimination policy. And, you know, as I always do, I'm going to put some pictures, and instead of just putting pictures for my 5 weeks, I will put the pictures that I originally took for my 3 weeks on T that never got posted because, like I said, school, and then I was literally gone for a week in Cozumel. So instead of the video being 1 week late, it's 2. So I'll put those pictures so that you can see the difference in between 3 and 5 weeks. And I'm going to continue to do my posts on Tumblr and just make more videos. If you guys have any suggestions for things that you would like to see, you'd like for me to talk about, leave a comment. I'm going to try to do weekly videos for my transition, but then also have other topics as well. And one of the topics that I've been talking about, Gabriel, who some of you might know, it's a pretty popular trans guy on Tumblr and YouTube, is about, you know, when some people transition because they are people of color, they go from being very ignored classes of people to people being hypervigilant about their presence. All of a sudden you're seen as dangerous, you're seen not as educated, as violent, and how that really affects people, and how even if you're not a person of color, how some trans males that are white don't realize that essentially when they transition from a white female to a white male, that's a lot of privilege. If people don't know that you're trans, they treat you like a cis white male. And, you know, I encourage my friends not to drink the Kool-Aid. Don't let it go to your head because it's still nonsense. They're treating you that way and you're still in an oppressed class, and if they found out you were trans, they would treat you differently. And you need to be someone who's opening the door for others and making sure that people that are in oppressed classes are being helped and do have opportunities. And that only comes by people who do have the privilege coming in and opening those doors for people, because you can't always, as a person of color or a person of an oppressed group, you can't always just bust doors open. It doesn't work like that sometimes. So I think that'll be an interesting video, and, you know, I'll just see you guys next week.